That's right, it's the remaining blueprints episode, everybody's favorite part. First one here doesn't always spawn in the ramparts, but sometimes you'll get a little invisible platform there. You can thank commentator Lord Scullington for telling me about that one. I did see it before when I was doing one of the 4 boss cell runs. There were some crows that landed on it, but I thought that was just an error, because that sort of thing has happened before. Oh, there you go. Just trust in yourself and trust in the fact that the developers have apparently played Dark Souls 3 as well. Acid Nerves. Acid Nerves is an interesting little... It's a bow, specifically. You can't really tell from that placeholder icon. But what it does is that you can fire a bow simply, but then if you hold down the button, it'll occasionally it'll flash orange, and then you can do a critical strike with it. Thus far, I haven't really taken it out into battle, so I don't know how effective it is or how often I could possibly get that when doing it in a high-stress, high-stakes environment. But it's definitely one that's on the short list of doing some sort of showcase or challenge run with, I'd say. I don't know. Next up, in the old sewers, you find a little very ossuary, prolonged healing type blueprint area. It dumps you out here. But then you can see you get, I have no idea what that's even supposed to represent. A glob of poison? Alchemic rifle, whatever. You can see very large area, dumps you immediately out into poison. So watch out if you're cursed during that. Ah, this one is goofy. Yeah, you probably recognize that icon from the one that appears over your head when you're out of potion charges and you're trying to use your potion. It is... Now here's the thing, they already have something programmed in the game, Firebrand's Ice Shock, where you toss out an item with like a natural arc. So why isn't just a potion that you throw out? Why is it a crossbow that oh, whatever. Hey, it's a ranged weapon that does poison damage. I'm not going to argue with that. That's something that I've been kind of wanting in the game for a little while here. Because there is something that does fire, ice, everything that you could possibly want for ranged weaponries. But nothing that does poison. There's not even like a poison sword. There's a flammable, an oil sword before there was a poison sword, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So I approve, even though, what the hell? Seems to also use the explosion from when the colonnades of light, coincidentally in this area, explode. Because I see a little bit of glitter coming off of the weapon when the flask breaks. This was the last one that I actually found, because, come on, why would I think that it would be in the old sewers? Ah, well, it fulfills a niche. I can really appreciate that. Next up, you got the stuff in the castle. But before I start talking about what's in the castle here, obviously every single one I'm going to be getting is with a hunter's grenade. I am not grinding them out the old-fashioned way. That thing is in the game, I'm going to be using it. So the other thing is that I have 2 very nice weapons to use with that, specifically the ice grenade and the ice bow for a lot of extra CC. Each of the 2 new blueprints come from the 2 respective new enemies in the game here, which is to say the Lancer and the Guardian Knight. So as soon as I get myself a little arena here to fight this dude, there is an elite version of the Lancer. No elite version of the Guardian Knight. That's too bad. Well, anyway, this is a pretty simple, and I did eventually see one of these Lancer guys being elite around just hanging around, so they can spawn naturally. Oh, come on. Even just slowed down, it's not too bad to get this. And there you go, a rare blueprint. It is the Hayabusa Gauntlets. That's right, now there's a set of them. The Hayabusa boots and the Hayabusa Gauntlets. Hayabusa Gauntlets actually don't work too much. aren't too dissimilar to the spiked boots in the way they work. You just mash down a button, but they have no... They are clearly unfinished. And not only do they have a placeholder... Not only do they have a placeholder icon with them, they also are really janky and weird to use, where you'll occasionally stop, like, moving. Like you're locked into an animation or something when you're using them. It's weird. I don't really know what to make of them, to be certain. Yeah, I've gone through the castle. Oh yeah, and they also have no description or any sort of special abilities with them. There's no critical strikes or anything that you get out of them. They're just the Hayabusa gauntlets, and you punch enemies, kind of. I'm sure there's something more coming with that later. But yes, now that I've gone through the castle a few times, I can kind of start to... I can see a little bit more how exactly this place works. So you got the normal area, but then there's also 3 sub-areas. This one that I'm in, I'm calling the... I don't know. Oh yeah, somebody said that enemies no longer walk into spikes. That is patently untrue. Kudos on boning that up, Motion Twin. But anyway, yeah, there's 3 individual areas, sub-areas in there. You only need to beat 2 of them, because each of the elites mini-bosses that you find in there will drop a single key. And it's it's consistent for the area what the mini-boss is going to be. That area that I just went through, which I'm going to call, I don't know, the Botanic Lab, always has an Elite Thorny in there. The blue area, which I guess I'll refer to as the Alchemic Laboratory, because there's a bunch of little flasks everywhere, always has an Elite Slasher. And the third area, the red area, which I guess, Ossuary 2, Undead Boogaloo, always has the double trackers, very similar to the Sepulchre, which I guess that makes sense if it's supposed to be an undead sort of area. And they're always in red, gross blood water. Another thing that you'll see later is that each one of those mini-bosses, when they hit you, you may have seen in the last video, that they will inflict you with contagion. You'll see that a little bit later in the video when I get the full brunt of it, but avoid getting hit by those guys. Fight them while being more cautious than normal, because you do not want to build up stacks of contagion. Here is the Alchemic Laboratory. There's nothing too special about each one of these, just different background objects. Honestly, the Botanic Laboratory seems to be the most interesting, and also the easiest one to go through. I would say I would have a much easier time fighting a Thorny than an Elite Slasher, and definitely 2 Elite Trackers. So yeah, 2 keys is all I need. Now, something else to mention is that there is one more blueprint that is currently unavailable, at least as far as I can tell, that you cannot get. It is called the Giant Killer, and you may have noticed the statue in the very start of the area has, well, it seems to be a statue of the king, whoever that may be, and I think that's probably the king's sword. Now, there's a couple places that I think it could possibly be. I have not been able to find it. I've thrown a hunter's grenade at pretty much everything in the game. I've beat the Hand of the King multiple times on all boss cell difficulty. Well, on max boss cell difficulty, on minimum boss cell difficulty. He only drops a Symmetrical Lance, as far as I can tell. But here's where I'm thinking that it's going to be. Either that's the other weapon that he's supposed to drop, the hand, but he's currently not dropping it. Oh, yes, and if you're wondering what it does critical damage against bosses and elite enemies. It has a very similar to swing to the Swift Sword. There was oh, here's a challenge area. I did complete this challenge area, but it's nothing special. You don't get anything special for it, and it's the same challenge area that we've all known to, that we all come to love and loathe. Oh, well, it seems like by the way, having done a few more of these, I do believe that they now have, they're pulling from the elite table of loot, so you're going to be getting a decent weapon out of it, like a higher than normal leveled weapon, or an amulet out of it from the chest that you get at the end. Either way, I don't think it's really worth it for the amount of time and difficulty that you're getting out of it. It still should be eventually replaced with something a little bit better in the future. That's what Motion Twin has been saying for a while, and I'm going to trust him on it? I don't know. But anyway, yes, my ideas for where the Giant Killer is. One, it's supposed to be the second drop from the hand, which currently does not have one attached with him. It could easily just be an error that is not spawning right now. Who knows? Two, something to do with the repository. I think at this point it's pretty obvious that the repository is... There's the amulet that I was talking about. It's pretty obvious that the repository is unfinished and there's nothing more to do there, as much as I really want it to just be a cool puzzle. Ah, well. And number 3... Oh yeah, you can see... Hey, there's a unique little background. You can see one of the knight statues. And number 3 could be has something to do with the corpse of the king. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you might have noticed that the big old skeleton in the beginning of the game is the king. He's got the same crown, and that lance that he's been stabbed with, you can see at the knee of the statue in the start of the castle. So yeah, he's in the game. Yeah, you thought I wasn't gonna notice that? Oh, here's what the... Like I said, it's a lot like the spiked boots. You get the same sort of thing, but I would say demonstrably worse right now. In fact, right now I'm not going to do it, but here's a run in about 5 seconds. Stupid post commentary. Oh wait, no, this is the other one. Yes, you can notice on that first statue that the spear that is near the statue's knee is the exact one that is stabbed into the giant skeleton at the beginning of the game. It also makes sense, too, because the knight NPC is wielding a broadsword, much like that guy that I just turned to a zombie, the Guardian Knight there. So I guess he was there, I don't know, paying reverence to his fallen king? Why was the king in prison? There's a lot of questions here, but I don't know. That's it for Lore Corner for this episode. Gotta do one every single time I'm doing a blueprint collection thing. And speaking of which... From the Guardian Knights, you get Tornado. It's a skill. It fires out a tornado that bounces off of walls and does a ton of damage. It's pretty all right, I'll say that. But those are the other new blueprints inside of this area in particular. And really all the new blueprints you're going to be seeing in this particular update until the Giant Killer gets introduced. But yeah, I have searched all around. I could not find anything on the knight character's corpse. I could not find anything with the king's corpse. I got nothing. Yeah, Motion Twin, you thought you were being sneaky there. No, I have played this game a lot. Yes, and I believe this is the point in time where I'm using a little bit of a, not tactics and power focused run. This is when I'm using a little bit of a damage reduction in melee, which I think is what you want to go with, at least starting out here. I've been fighting the hand quite a few times, and at the end of this video I'll be doing it quite a few more times. But for right now it's going to be mostly... I'm thinking melee while I'm still getting used to his moveset. I know exactly what his moveset is at this point, but I'm having trouble dodging a lot of his moves, especially his melee attacks, which are very large and very... I can't predict well enough. But yes, I believe that this is the run where I managed to figure out exactly how contagion works. So the next area I get into, which I believe is the Alchemic laboratory, is going to be... Well, you'll see what happens. Aside from that, that should be all of the blueprints here right now. I'm very interested in seeing when the introduction of the Giant Killer is going to be, because I want to use that weapon. That one sounds super cool. What is it called? Great Sword? Lord Gwyn's weapon from Dark Souls. I don't remember exactly what it's called. Here's a very good place to have a War Spear at. Also, I kind of felt like picking up a War Spear on this particular run because I was thinking, hey, it's thematically appropriate. There's a bunch of War Spear guys in here. I think last time I compared them to... Not a very good weapon for this fight, though. I think last time... And there you can see I got a point of contagion. Last time I compared those dudes to... Oh, Infection. I guess it's not contagion. You get like 6 or so there. And now, look at my health. It's very darkness damage style. And it's not going away. And it's not going away. Goodbye, cells. I shall miss you. You would have been very useful getting that tornado, but God, was I not going to stay here. Oh, no, 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 no. I am out of here. This was the point where I was like, I don't know what just happened. Well, I think I figured out what happened, but it was like, oh, this is maybe the worst scenario that could have possibly happened on this run. So just run directly over here, I believe. Oh, no, there's more than that. And these are pretty difficult enemies to work around. Anyway, what I was saying there was that I originally compared the Lancer enemies to Kirby enemies for some reason. I was thinking of the Tick guys, you know, the guys that would, when you get over them, they would try to spike you, even though they would normally look like little cute dudes. Anyway, they're basically just like the Lancer enemies in Castlevania. They're almost the exact same thing, except they are very explicitly using a War Spear. I had that pointed out in the comments last time, and yeah, in retrospect, boy, am I dumb. Lot of these guys can attack just about everywhere. The Guardian Knights are very, very good at getting you into their range with their ability to pull you towards them. But I managed to get out just fine. So you know what time it is. Well, first off, gonna check this out. I don't have any cells, but you can see that it does damage to enemies inside, and it'll stay there for a while. Anyway, it's time to fight the hand that kings you. Here I got the old Hayabusa gauntlets to try to check that out a little bit more. And it also seems like you can deflect away projectiles with that as well. So, first phase of the hand I figured out is the phase where he will do his bomb throwing ability, and he will do a bomb throwing ability, he will do a kind of clumsy swing with his symmetrical lance, and then he will also dash at you. Hold out his hand, summon a shield, and dash at you. Phase 2, he will start to summon the standards, which will explode. He will do his 3-hit combo. He will do a combo where he does 1 hit and then jumps and slams down on the ground for a pretty big area of effect. And he will continue doing like all the other moves too. Now when he gets down about 75% of the way, I want to say, what he'll start to do is he will gain 2 hits to his push attack. And he will gain a very large charge-up attack where he slams down on the ground and covers the entire platform with explosive rock? I don't know. But that one requires a pretty big animation and it has a huge startup associated with it. It's pretty obvious. Yeah, that basic 3-hit combo is the one that I have more trouble with than anything else. Yeah, first phase, he'll summon 1 elite and a couple enemies. Second phase, he'll summon 2 elites. You only have to kill the elites to spawn again. And the enemies themselves may die from fall damage, or they'll die from him just falling on the enemies. It's a possibility for them. Yeah, the way that you dodge some of the bigger attacks, and especially the giant platform covering hand crush that he will do, is to jump up on those little platforms on either side of the arena, one of the ones that dump you down after a second or so. But that, I found, is the best way to dodge a decent amount of his attacks, but especially that one, which absolutely requires it. See if he does it here. That's the move. See, really big, really flashy, covers the entire platform. That's when you want to jump up on the little temporary platforms around there. Yeah, this guy has a lot going on. Fortunately, platform was down there. I'm actually super into this fight. Although the only problem I have is that it is really hard to tell what the hitbox is on his really basic attacks. Everything else I feel like I got pretty well. And you can see here, no more blueprints. Too bad. Maybe next update. Of course, what I want to see next, one of the other things that they were talking about was putting in more lore stuff. So I'm looking forward to that update as well. Maybe we'll get some more information on the king and the knight and what exactly they're doing. Like, was the king imprisoned? Did the knight kill him? Why was the knight there? Was he just saying hi? It's a bunch of weird stuff. Goodbye, Hunter's Grenade. See you next time. All right, I said I wasn't going to do Lore Corner anymore. Let's go. Next one, a run I did with Symmetrical Lance. Feels appropriate fighting him with his own weapon. This one is more of a survival type weapon, very slow, but you know, ain't too bad. Another one where I had a Hunter's Grenade and didn't manage to get rid of it. I really did throw Hunter's Grenades at just about every single enemy in the game to try to find the giant killer. The first going theory that I had was that it was going to be one of the cannibals that dropped it, because cannibals are the only enemy currently in the repository, so they have some significance? Or who knows, because the repository as it exists right now was originally put in the Foundry update. Maybe that was just the toughest enemy they thought they had there. Who knows? Seems like you know, it also could be, now that I'm looking at this. Oh, also the Symmetrical Lance does hit in back of you. And because killing multiple enemies at a time will do some pretty hefty critical damage to all the enemies around you, I think it's pretty good for doing... Those are some pretty bad standard. It was worth a try. I think it's a pretty good weapon for doing multiple cell modes, because hitting behind you and hitting... That was a good dodge of that. Hitting behind you and hitting multiple enemies is super helpful in that mode. But yeah, I'm noticing right now the balls, maybe like the purple balls, can be hit by normal weaponry and not just shovel or foot weaponry. Because I was noticing that I was getting a few things there. I was getting a few of them deflected there as well. I don't know. This is still only 0 cell difficulty, so there's not too much to be said about it. Best way I've seen to deal with those standards is either to use some sort of grenade. I often have a ice grenade on hand in these fights, or to just get up on one of the platforms and then stomp down on them. Because when you have the Beliar's Rune, you get some pretty big area of effect. Well, definitely not... Oh. There you go. See, I'm learning. Not there. And watch out, because when those standards fall down, they will also do a whole bunch of damage to you, because they have the... Yeah, you can also grab onto the wall there, I'm noticing right now. I don't even remember if I realized that when I was fighting him, that I got that lucky there. Still only 0 boss cell, so not the most difficult. It's a good thing that that is such a cinematic and obvious thing to... cinematic and obvious animation that he has when he does that attack, because otherwise it would be very difficult to dodge. You can also see he kind of slowly walks towards the middle when he's doing that. Of course, he will also do a little slow walk towards you. He'll also do a little slow walk towards you even when you are just far away from him, so I don't know. Still a lot of stuff to discover with this particular boss, I think. But I'm pretty excited. I like what he's throwing down right now, and not just the bombs. So yeah, I'd say Symmetrical Lance, good weapon. Seal of approval, why not? And this last one is the 4 boss cells. As you can see, I confirmed right there. Yeah, you can see right at his leg. That is the same spear that, or at least it looks like the same spear that appears in the skeleton in the very first area of the game. The other thing here is this is the one where I brought out the tornado, so you can see a good showcase of that as well. It's also when I absolutely realize not to get hit by these mini-bosses, because god, that contagion is super, super punishing to get hit by. Of course, the plan here with having 4 boss cells active was not any sort of strategy. I was just here to do... Yeah, you can see how the tornado works there. Whee! A little hard to see, to be perfectly honest, but it's... I'd say the amount of damage it's doing speaks for itself. For example, on this elite. And the thing is, it just keeps going. It's crazy. Like, I don't even know how many times it hit the elite there. It seems like maybe the... Wow, I cannot believe I got hit. It seems like maybe the best way to... The absolute best way to do damage if you're in a small confined area. Obviously, anywhere that has any sort of drop-off, the tornado is going to fall off immediately. And it doesn't fit in every area, I think. I'm still not entirely sure how it works, but I can tell you right now, it's pretty effective at fighting. Yeah, I decided not to waste time there. I've already gotten hit way too many times in this 4 boss cell run as it is. Yeah, I think this may be like one of the best places to use the tornado. However, was this the point where I figured out? Oh. Well, anyway, I was going to say, one of the problems with the tornado is that it stays on the y-axis that you throw it down on. So it doesn't fall downwards, I think. I think it just goes back left and right. That could easily be more of a result of it being kind of buggy right now, as it seems like a lot of the weapons are, but who knows? Point is, if you can get a Hunter's Grenade in here, I would definitely recommend getting the Tornado over getting the Hayabusa Gauntlets. Which, oh sure, I finished a run with, but... It's hard to say exactly why I don't like the Hayabusa Gauntlets, because it's a thing that you can feel when you're playing the game, but you can't really see when you're watching a video on it. It's something to do with the momentary pauses that you experience when you... Yeah, there you can see that's where the tornado should have dropped off, probably, but it has no gravity with it. Still, it does feel pretty good to be able to do good old-fashioned spinner attacks on enemies yourselves after being subjected to so many of them. Curse chest. No. I probably have a good enough setup to deal with that, but I don't know. I mean, certainly the fact that the tornado seems to be invincible and everlasting. Oh, I guess I did. I didn't even remember if I went for this or not. I'm already taking way too much damage. There is no way. Although, like I said, the plan here for it was more to blitz down Mr. Hands than to fight him legitimately. You know, like Herbie Hancock? Mr. Hands? No? Okay. Hey, when you gotta kill... Yeah, this is the point. That was the point where I realized, oh, wait, it doesn't fall off of edges at all. It just keeps going. I mean, certainly the amount of stats that I have right now are definitely not hurting the effectiveness of the tornado, but I do think it's a very good weapon as well. I love that ultra cautious play. Always just so fun to watch, isn't it? All right. Yeah, you only need 2 keys to be able to finish this area. And the only thing that you get for getting 3 keys is... What is it? A choice of 2 items, a scroll of power, which, while nice, I have a lot of stats right now. I don't need that many more. I've said before that that's one of the benefits of doing a high cell mode, where when you get all the curse chests that you could possibly want in the various cell doors around, which, by the way, No cell doors in the castle. Don't know what the deal with that is. But yeah, you get your choice of... You get your choice of 2 items there. You get a free scroll of power, and then you obviously can get the... what is it called? Blueprint. The boomerang blueprint. But that's... And I have not seen the blueprint in quite a while, too. I wanna do a little bit more of a showcase run with that at some point. I think it's a fun weapon. It's also a weapon that is mostly based around multi-hitting enemies, where what you want to do is you want to throw it over an enemy's head and then have it hit the enemy on the way back, and it'll hit like 5-6 times during that time. Because it has to tear right through the enemy. So you get multiple hits on it while doing that. Alright. Mr. Handy, if you will. Very, very good place to use the tornado. And I don't remember if it goes away upon hitting an invincibility barrier, but I decide to throw it out again anyway, because, hey, why not? Hard to tell, because I'm not quite sure if I get rally from it or not. I would guess no, but it's... I'm blitzing him down so quickly that it is hard to say. Oh, that guy. I remember that meat grinder well. He very, very nearly single-handedly ended the run. Oh, the boss? No big deal. An elite meat grinder? Oh god, just kill me now. But anyway, beating him on 4-cell difficulty does not net you anything. Too bad. That was... I even made sure to check. Do I have all 4 equipped? I do. That was another theory of mine, that maybe you got to get the giant killer, you have to beat Hando Calrissian on 4-cell mode, but I guess not. Boy, that is the 2nd episode in a row where right at the end I made a Star Wars reference. Stupid. Anyway, that's it for this update as of now. Now it's just learning the Hand of the King patterns. Well, that's going to be a while.